Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg.
And I'm Jordan.
And today we have the 2025 Subaru Outback Touring XT.
And we're going to put it through its paces to see what it's like to be the last mainstream wagon on the market.
All right, it is road test time, and we have the 2025 Subaru Outback Touring XT with us, and a big thanks to Subaru for giving us this delightfully brown wagon for the week.
That's right. If you like car reviews, news, and shenanigans like our European road test, smash that like button and subscribe for more automotive action. Now, let's see what this Subaru can do.
All right, so first impressions, Jordan, this doesn't really scream end-of-life redesign with that all-new 2026 Outback looming next year, but it definitely seems to know exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's like Subaru looked at it and said, "Oh, you're doing great, sweetie," and then kissed it on the forehead and just kind of touched up its eyebrows a bit.
We still have the mid-cycle refreshed front fascia going on with the wider grille, integrated C-shaped bezels, and it's chunky looking, but in a good way.
Yeah, it still has that kind of classic Outback stance, right? The long roof wagon, high ride height, cladding literally everywhere. But that Touring XT trim gets a bit more polish to it. It's got the satin chrome mirror caps to it, and kind of a bit of extra flair on door handles too. So
yeah, and let's talk ground clearance. We've got 8.7 inches here. Same as always, that's legit SUV territory. It'll clear snowbanks, ruts, and even like a little sketchy pothole here and there.
Yeah, it's one of the few wagons left that doesn't really pretend to be something else. Like, it doesn't need to call itself a sports activity vehicle or anything. It just is what it is.
That's right. It's definitely confident in its wagonness, which is refreshing. We have 18-inch alloys with these really handsome wheels on them, and we've got the 225/60 tires as well.
Yeah, this Touring XT is the top trim, right? XT denoting that's a turbo. Touring is top of the line. So you get all the exterior goodies. You got power folding mirrors, you got roof rails on here. I love a good roof rail. And Subaru also included the crossbars within the roof rails. I'm in heaven.
I know, it is a pretty trick setup. We've been playing with them a little bit, and it is a lot of fun. The rear end is also nice and clean. We've got LED taillights, a wide opening, and a bumper that's not afraid of getting a muddy boot put to it.
That's right. Also worth noting is this paint color. It's dark mahogany pearl. So they've given us a brown turbocharged wagon. I'm absolutely busting.
I know, it'd be so cool if they just were like, hey, we're gonna lower it to the ground and we're gonna give you a manual transmission and a hood scoop. But beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah. Well, what do you not like about the exterior of this particular wagon?
Well, Subarus are rarely a beautiful car, and this one is no exception. But it might actually start looking really good when that 2026 drops next year, which well, just not a handsome car.
Yeah, I think that design is definitely going to anger a lot of Subaru loyalists because, as we said, this Outback is a wagon shape, and I really love that about its exterior. But yeah, there are some elements on here that are kind of questionable, particularly with the satin trim and the chrome finish. They kind of clash with each other, right? But it is a Subaru.
Yeah, and considering that it's a wagon, we do have a lower rear height on the hatch when it opens up. So might hit some taller folks in the head if they're trying to reach in and get something, because while it is still a wagon, it's not quite an SUV. So with the outside of this Subaru is giving ready for anything trail vibes, the inside of this Touring XT, well, honestly, it's kind of like a soft-spoken luxury lounge in here. Yeah,
it's definitely less muddy boots and more like espresso and a travel mug kind of vibe. But we have black Napa leather seats in here with contrasting stitching. It's really elevated. And the Touring trim, you get the real deal stuff.
Yeah, they're heated and ventilated up front, plus heated outboard seats in the rear. But Outback, you don't get the 12-way power with adjustable lumbar that I get right here in the driver's seat.
We just had to include the Outback joke, didn't we? Okay, check that off the box. But in addition to that, we do also have a moonroof, right? It's not quite as large as you'd see in competitors, but it does let in some light, especially if you're kind of traveling into the woods, and you can let in some sunlight and stuff into the lounge. It kind of elevates a little bit. It gives us a kind of airier feel than what you'd find in like a dehydrated REI meal pack.
Okay, well. Space-wise, we've got, you know, some pretty serious room to stretch out here. Up front, we've got 42.8 inches of legroom, and the back seat has 39.5, which is almost limo spec for a wagon.
Yeah, it's super comfy back there too, and the seats are really nicely contoured, and you can actually recline them, which is really cool. I mean, it's not huge recline, but it's kind of nice on those long road trips. Plus, there's really big door openings on the side, so your dog's gonna love it.
You know, and the cargo space is also really where this Outback shines. You know, we've got 32.6 cubic feet behind the second row and a massive 75 plus feet with that second row folded flat.
Yeah, that is SUV level volume Outback. You could fit a lot more camping gear than we were able to pack into our Porsches, that's for sure.
Yeah, and cabin materials are pretty upscale too. You know, soft touch where it counts, and stitching on this dash and around this giant center screen.
Yeah, center stage is this 11.6-inch vertical display. It still looks like a giant iPad taped to the dash, but the user interface is pretty super dated.
But at least you do have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto here, and there's a charging pad, but only if you want to buy it from the dealer.
Yeah, so that's something you might need to consider, right, when buying it. But the Touring XT trim does come with a 12-speaker Harman Kardon audio system. It's got 576 watts, so it'll make you think you're actually at a Fish concert.
Okay. So for driver assistance features, this Subaru is packed. We have EyeSight 4.0, which now uses a wider angle stereo camera system for improved lane keeping, adaptive cruise, and pre-collision braking, all of which has functioned on my little journey here.
Well, there you go. And the big one here is that HWA2 hands-on highway assist. So on certain roads, it can handle the steering for you, the braking and acceleration, all while you keep a light touch on that steering wheel. But it is a little finicky, so make sure that you're paying attention.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's nowhere near like the Rover chauffeur level that you've got with Tesla's full self-driving, or, you know, frankly, even autopilot. But, you know, for managing traffic on long highway stretches, you know, it definitely takes the edge off.
Yeah, so between the upgraded screen, the improved software, and the semi-autonomy, the Outback's tech definitely feels modern-ish, which is rather un-Subaru of it.
Yeah, as long as you don't put on that backup camera, which looks like it's out of the 70s, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, so that, I guess, brings us into things we don't like about the interior. Like that camera, it is pretty bad.
Oh yeah, it looks super dated, very grainy, which is also kind of odd to see because the screen itself has a great resolution. That camera just does not. Yeah,
it's true. I mean, we do have front and rear cameras. It doesn't have 360 view, which is odd thing to consider. At this point, it's 2025, right? But probably something we're going to see in the updated 2026 model. Another thing on the interior that's kind of old school is analog gauges. Still dealing with analog gauges in 2025. Like, you know, I personally like them, but I know that for a vast majority of the market, we're moving towards more digital display, right?
For sure. You know, and the user interface is also very dated. It probably was developed when the camera was made with that low resolution, because it just doesn't work very well. It's very laggy. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Things are buried in menus, and, you know, to turn off the rear parking sensors, you have to put in reverse. Yeah,
there's just some odd choices, and like the overall feel for it is very like mid-early noughts, and it's time for a change. So thankfully, it looks like the 2026 model is going to address a lot of that stuff. So if you are a tech-heavy person, you might want to wait till that 26 model, but if you don't care about tech, this is the one for you.
Yeah, it's definitely time for a change for us, so let's find a place to pull off here and swap seats.
Sounds good. All right, so now that I'm behind the wheel of the Subaru Outback Touring XT, let's talk about what's under the hood. And yes, it does have a turbo.
Yep, this trim-packed Subaru's 2.4-liter turbocharged flat four, that's a boxer engine, folks, just like in a Porsche. Here it puts down 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet, which is a mega upgrade over that base engine.
Oh yeah, it's certainly quick off the line. It's not fast, but it is confident. And the torque hits pretty early, which is great for merging and passing. You don't need to floor the pedal, just throw the blinker on and hope for the best.
You know, it's not WRX quick, but, you know, despite putting the power down through a CVT, the XT is good for a sprint to 60 in only about 6.1 seconds, which is, you know, pretty respectable for something shaped like a hiking boot.
That's fair. Well, in addition to the acceleration and performance, the ride too is really smooth. The steering is light, obviously. I mean, the market here is not looking for a ton of steering feel and effort.
No.
But I mean, it's predictable, right? And the suspension with the 18-inch wheels really soaks up all the bumps and ruts that you'd probably experience driving this.
Yeah, it leans a bit in corners, but you're not buying this to be a sports car, right? Like, I mean, you're buying it to get to a trailhead completely, in comfort, and bringing your 2 kayaks and a golden retriever along for the ride too.
Yeah, and it does all that like a pro. I mean, it has standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, means the traction is always solid, rain or shine, and the X-Mode system really helps when you're off-road.
Yeah, now for the buzzkill, the fuel economy, right? So the XT models are rated at 22, 29, and 25 combined. So certainly not bad, but well off, that hybrid competition that a lot of folks are coming out with right now.
Yeah, you're trading some MPGs for extra power, but honestly, I would take that trade in this particular one. You definitely want the bigger engine. It doesn't feel underpowered like the base model does.
Yeah, you're finally starting to think like me. I like it. So what were some things that you didn't like about the way this Subaru Outback drives? I
mean, honestly, the CVT, while a lot of people feel like this is, the best CVT on the market, I mean, that's honestly like saying you have the best form of chlamydia. Like, it's really, no, it's true. It's holding back, I think, what is an excellent engine. Like, it feels really torquey and powerful, but the CVT really holds it back.
Yeah, undeniably, the CVT is terrible because you get like a double lag. You get the lag from the CVT, and then you get the lag from the turbo, which makes it a really laggy experience when you really need to boot it, right? Once you hit that wall of torque, though, it feels great. And so it's just let down so hard by that CVT. It's really, really unfortunate because if you put a dual clutch in this thing, they borrowed one from our friends at Volkswagen. Yeah. Oh man, this would be a real fun wagon to zip around in.
It really would.
And the other thing that's not great, the drive is just kind of wallowy and uninspired. I mean, again, you have to think about the class of the vehicle, right? Sure. It's not a canyon carver. Those are the cars we love, so we want, a taut, nimble handling beast, and, this is not that, but it's a comfortable ride, which is ultimately the most important thing for a lot of the buyers, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have some more performance-oriented Subarus, considering their history. Yeah, this is not necessarily that, but there is a lot of potential, right, that Subaru can tap into, maybe in the future, for a performance model.
Absolutely.
So, now that we've wrapped it up, it's time for Would You Rather.
That's right, we're going to go ahead and pit this Subaru Outback XT Touring against 3 competitors and say which one that we would rather have.
Yeah, so the Touring XT isn't necessarily cheap, starting at $44,000, as our tester rings in at about $46,000 delivered, with all these all-weather mats and all the bells and whistles. But let's check out some other options.
Yeah, so first up is the king of the small SUV segment, and I'm of course talking about the RAV4 Hybrid Limited all-wheel drive from Toyota. Starts about $40,000, 219 horsepower, hybrid system, so it gives about 41 miles per gallon in the city, 38 in the highway, and accelerates to 60 in about 7 seconds. Which one would you rather have?
I gotta say, I kind of like the way that the Outback drives, and I like kind of the vibes behind it. I'm a wagon guy. I do love them. The RAV4 is a good proposition to me. I think if you're looking for fuel economy, that's great, but I like a little bit more performance. I'm going to take the Outback.
Wow. So, a little differing opinion here. I'm going to go with the Toyota. The Toyota, right. I mean, the hybrid system is absolutely phenomenal in those new Toyotas, and the RAV4 is no different from any of those. You get excellent fuel economy. You get almost all the capability of this. Yes, it's a little bit slower, but you're really going to save a lot of money at the pump. So, next up, I know you love Volkswagens. I know you're a big Volkswagen guy, and so I have brought in a Volkswagen for us here. We're going to talk about the Tiguan SEL R-Line all-wheel drive. $40,000 base, 201 horsepower. It's automatic, 22 in the city, 29 on the highway, and a lengthy 8 seconds to 60. Which would you rather have?
You really didn't set this one up for success, did you, Greg? I mean, I think that goes without saying. Now, there is a turbo model coming out that might be a little bit more interesting, but yeah, I think when you're comparing the SEL R-Line to this one, I'm going to go with the Outback.
Yeah, undeniably. I would definitely choose the Outback, even with the CVT. Would prefer the transmission in the Volkswagen, but this is just a much nicer package all the way around, and it's really not much more money. So you're only going to be spending about $3,000 or $4,000 more once you take a couple options on that Volkswagen. So I'm definitely choosing the Subaru in that case.
Yeah, it's not like the tech is any worse than the Volkswagen anyway.
Nope.
Or better.
Or better. All right, so I know that you like Jeeps too, so I've brought out a Jeep. How about the Grand Cherokee Limited, $45,000 base, 293 horsepower to that Pentastar V6, 19 in the city, 26 on the highway, and about 7 seconds to 60. Which would you rather have?
Ooh, so I mean, it starts at the price that kind of where this tops off, but the Jeep is super capable off-road, way more capable than this is. Sorry, Subaru people. And it has more towing capacity, and they've been making it forever, so it should hopefully be reliable. I'm going with the Jeep.
But it's also a Stellantis product, so it's not going to be reliable, which is why I'm going to go with the Subaru. I would definitely have this because while the driving dynamics aren't great, they're definitely better than what you see in that Jeep. Sure. So I'm going to take the Subaru definitely over the Jeep, regardless of the off-road performance. So there you have it. So let's go ahead and find a spot to pull off for our final thoughts. All right, we have pulled off here at Lake Townsend Marina here in beautiful Bryant Park in Greensboro to talk about some of our final thoughts here of this Subaru Outback Touring XT.
Yeah, and one thing that Greg and I really have come to love about this is, hey, it is a wagon. Not only that, it's brown, right? But this is one of the last wagons you can buy in the US market.
That's right. For 2026, Subaru is updating the Outback. They're making it look less good. And they're making it more of an SUV, more focused to that, you know, outdoorsy, off-roady vibe.
Yeah, there are true benefits to being a wagon. You got tons of interior space. It rides really well. It handles decent enough, certainly better than a traditional SUV.
For sure.
So it's really sad to see kind of the wagon market shrink to what it has now.
It really is, and you know, this actually comes with a fantastic turbocharged 4-cylinder. We've got the 2.4 liter Boxer 4-cylinder in here, and it makes wonderful power.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't disappoint, but there are other things that kind of hold it back.
Yeah, and that kind of takes us to some of the things that we don't like about the Subaru, and that is the powertrain kind of as a whole. While the engine is fantastic, the gearbox really lets it down. It's got that CVT in there, and so you essentially kind of have a double lag when you needed to boot it.
Yeah, I mean, while it's not the worst CVT on the market, it's certainly kind of a disappointment. It definitely feels like it's holding that engine back, and it's also kind of doubly concerning because that same powertrain is basically carried over to the next generation Outback. So if we really recommend, if powertrain and power delivery is something that's at the top of your list, definitely take a look at it. Take this one for a test drive because that's going to be a consideration if you buy a 26 as well.
That's right. And another thing that needs to be consideration for you if you want the 2025 is that user interface on the touchscreen. Doesn't work that good. Really confusing how you have to choose some options and things of that nature. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, something that's going to be addressed later on. This is so far behind in terms of technology. That being said, if you're not a tech person and you don't care about that, you're just looking for something that's reliable and gets you from point A to point B, obviously this is definitely way better in that market.
That's right. And, you know, if you're looking for a Subaru and you really want an Outback, I think now's the time. So go ahead and go over this 25 Subaru if you think you want an Outback before they come out with that 2026.
And on that fantastic revelation, it's time to end.
Thank you so much for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on The Driver's Line. Hit that like button and subscribe for more car reviews, specials, and podcasts.
A special shout out to our partner Prestige Auto and North American Vehicle Services for fleet management, keeping us fueled up and on the road, enabling us to keep bringing great content to you. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we do this all the time.
This isn't gonna work.
Okay.
I'm trying to rotate it so the stuff comes out of it.
Oh. Oh.